Hey everybody, John Fly here. I'm in the Flight Factor Boeing 767 and we're going to do a flight from Salt Lake City down to Las Vegas. And just a disclaimer, this is a brand new plane to me. Some of you who have seen me fly on Twitch.tv and also on YouTube know that my primary plane is a Cessna 172. So this is quite a jump up, but we'll show you what I do to get the plane started: taxiing, takeoff, cruise, navigating, approach, and landing. Again, I am probably not going to do these procedures in the correct order. This is kind of a draft run through. Over time, I'll perfect the order in which I do things and the correct procedures. But right now, we're just going to show you how I have, what I've done to this point as far as getting this bird in the air. So we'll go ahead and click on the iPad icon, and that brings up our 767-300 main menu. And I am going to go to ground, and I'm going to click on fuel truck, and I'm going to click on passenger bus, stairs. We're not going to use the GPU today or the high pressure unit, but we are going to open the door for the stairs. I believe this is going to be on the right side. So hopefully when I do the outside view now, we'll see that there is a passenger bus. We got stairs. We got the right door open on the plane. I've got permission to use the UPS pad here for my loading, even though I'm in a United livery. The United livery, by the way, is from Cranky65. It's a great paint job. He does great work. You can check out Cranky Liveries on Facebook. A lot of great stuff coming out, Cranky. Thank you very much for this paint. So back to the iPad. So when we're in, so we got the bus, the stairs, the fuel truck. We're going to take 85 passengers, a special charter down to Vegas. I think our fuel weight will leave the same. Let's say there's 2,500 pounds of fuel cargo. Well, let's say 4,000. 4,000 pounds of cargo. And we'll go ahead and click the load button. So this little text right here that may be a little bit small on the screen says, "Loading the plane, please wait." So they're loading the plane with fuel. So we'll go to the overhead panel. Some people load the fuel after this is on, and maybe that's the correct way of doing it. That way you can watch the fuel rise. But anyway, so again, the order of the overhead panel is that I'm going to do is not correct, but it gets you an idea of how to get in the air, and then later on we're going to all learn the correct way to do it together. So I click on. I hold down my left mouse button and scroll over to lift the screen here for the battery. I click on the battery, and I use the mouse scroll wheel to change this to auto. So now we're on battery power. I will go ahead and click on the APU generator because we'll be turning on the auxiliary power unit on the back of the plane. And I'll click on the bus ties, utility bus left and right, and left gen and right gen. I don't touch the gen drive discs. After this, we will go ahead and start to, well, we'll turn on our IRS net to navigation up here at the top. Oops, I went a little bit far on that one. And we'll have our yaw dampers left on, right on. Our EEC both turned on. Turn on our left engine hydraulic pump, our center hydraulic, and center on the 2 and right engine. We'll change these electrical, hydraulic pump on, air, and electric also on. I'm going to learn what those are, but for the moment, that's what we're doing. And then we're going to come down to the APU down here. I'm going to switch that to start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait. It comes up with fault. While we're waiting for that, you can see here that there's been fuel loaded on this, each wing, 15 on the left, 15,000 pounds on the right. This should click back to on, or no, you should not let it automatically click back to on. As soon as that says run, click that back to on yourself. You probably could let it flip back to on because I've seen a lot of people, they just do that, but the manual says not to, so I don't know why. So there's a few things I'm doing right as far as ordering the manual and a few things I'm not doing so right. Come up to the top of the overhead and we take the armed off. We'll go ahead and close the, oops, we do not want to start the engine yet, accidentally did that. So we will let those turn on. As far as the fuel pumps, we'll go ahead and turn on the fuel pumps on the left and on the right, and we'll load the cross feeds. We do not need to click the C pumps. That's for the center tanks. As you can see here, we have no fuel in the center. I'm not going to turn on any anti-ice yet, even though we are in Salt Lake City. We'll need some anti-ice in a little bit, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. I'll turn the position light on. I won't turn on any of our lights yet. We can turn on our logo light. Come back up here to the top. We'll turn on window heat, side, left, forward, right, side, right. Turn on the passenger signs to auto, both the no smoking and the auto on the seat belts. Our landing altitude in Vegas, I forget what it is exactly, but I think it's around 24. And we switch this cabin altitude control to auto. That all looks good. Over here to the packs, we will change the forward cabin to auto, the mid cabin to auto, and the aft cabin to auto. Unless one of the passengers in one of these sections of the cabin starts to become unruly, we may turn the temperature up or down, depending on how we feel. Trim air on, recirculating fan left on, recirculating fan right on. And the flight deck, we'll put auto. Right here, we would normally put this to auto on the left pack and right pack, but because we're going to be starting the engine, we're going to leave this on off. I believe that's the correct procedure. On the isolation valves, we're going to click on left isolation, right isolation, center isolation. Our APU is on, so we'll turn on the APU bleed. Go ahead and turn on the left engine and right engine. So I think that all looks good. So what I do is I've programmed a key on my control panel to go right to my MCP. Today's, oh, that sounds like the flight attendant. So up here, the flight attendant is going to talk to me.
Sir, it seems to be colder than usual here.
So I don't know if you heard that. He says it's colder than usual. So that's because our engines aren't on. There's not a lot of heat going on from the APU yet. So I learned a little trick here.
I have nothing. Yes. Yes. Oh dear, sir. Cap. Oh very, sir.
Captain, I regret to inform you that the chief flight attendant has been killed.
So that guy's not going to bother me anymore. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to turn up the volume just a little bit. Okay, so everything looks okay on the overhead for the moment. So again, back down to the MCP. We're going to fly down to Las Vegas at flight level 320. So I just hover over the altitude button here and I use my scroll wheel to get to 32000. Turn our auto throttle on, our flight director on both sides. Our initial heading is going to be our runway heading, so we'll do 16 left or right, I'm not sure yet. So a heading of 160. Again, I'm using the mouse scroll wheel for this. Everything else, we're going to switch our radios over here to auto. What that does is it changes the frequency to the next navigational waypoint. It also, I think that's what that does. Alright, so that's looking good. So I go down to the throttle quadrant. Actually, let's go program the FMC for a moment. So click on, oh wait, I was going to do this a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how I program the 767 CDU, the FMC, a little bit different than what maybe what other people do. So let me just adjust this camera angle. So as you can see here, I've got an iPad, and I'm going to back up here to my back camera. And on my, you can also see it on the screen, but so all I'm doing is I'm touching the iPad screen. And I'm programming, so I have to do position in it, and I have to put in my reference airport. So I put in K. Oh wait, I gotta clear this. Put in KSLC. Put that at my reference airport. Okay, click on this latitude and longitude coordinate and copy that by clicking that button and then click set IRS. That starts to align our IRS. So as you can see, the iPad screen, you can just press the buttons. And you're doing this via a web page. And I'll try to put the comments in the section below about how to do that. But there is a CDU manual in the 767 directory under docs that tells you how to do this 767 remote CDU. So I'll use my iPad, but I'll zoom in down here, and you can see I'll change the size of the back camera. So again, then we want to go to route, and then we want to put in KSLC as our origination airport. Our destination is KLAS. Destination. Runway, well, let's take off from 16 right. So 16R. Activate, and then execute. And we want to go to legs, or sorry, not route. And departures and arrivals. We'll click on departure on SLC, and we'll choose what is the departure for today? We're going to do the Edith 3, which funny enough is not listed here. I wonder if the Edith 3, the Edith 3 must be for 3-4s. So let's try 3-4 right. No, 3-4 left. Yeah, 3-4 left. I know departures and arrivals. Edith, and here, because I have not updated my database, I'm going to choose Edith 1. We're going to do a transition at Milford, or MLF, and then we're going to go back to our departures and arrivals, and we're going to choose KLAS arrival, the Grandpa 1, transition Milford, and we're going to land runway is a good question. Of course, we'll check out the winds to see what the winds are doing, but just bringing up the approach chart for the Grandpa 1 arrival. And here's the Grandpa 1 arrival that I'll zoom in on. And we'll rotate clockwise. So we're coming in from Milford. So we're going to go to Frog, Trop, and Lems. Okay. And so Frog, Trop, and Lems. Let's see if that lines us up for 25 left, possibly. Nope. Maybe it lines us up for 01 left. Nope. Alright, so we're going to have to do some vectors once we're into the Las Vegas area. Possibly. So I'll finish the CD pre-flight. Alright, so Milford transition. We'll go ahead and do runway. Well, let's do 25 left. And we're going to transition at, yeah, we'll transition at Prano. Hit the execute button. Five left. Yeah, that'll be good. So 25 left. We will transition at Preno right here, and then we'll hit the ILS. I believe runway 25 right is closed for construction at the moment, so that's why we're going on 25 left. Although both 25s may be closed, but in the simulation that doesn't matter, right? Okay, so then we click on the legs page, and in the legs page we look for discontinuities. So right here, as you can see above Milford, there's a discontinuity. So we just click on MLF, that copies it down to the bottom, and then we paste into the blank space. Hit execute. And then down here before Preno, we have another route discontinuity. So we click on Preno, and then go to put that above. Execute. I think that looks good. So initial ref. Here, we're going to be cruising at 320 because we're flying westbound. We must be at an even altitude. And our cost index today will be 30. Gross weight, click on the button, 254.2. And our reserves today will be 1,000 pounds. And takeoff. We'll be doing a flaps 15 takeoff, so put that there. Temperature in Las Vegas right now looks like it is we're going to put in 10 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what it is right now. And then we've got a trim setting of 3.5. If I click the select on over here on the right, I can click the V-speed V1, VR, and V2. One thing, if you hit the next page, you can go in here and you can put in the winds for takeoff reference, but I won't do that today. So, I think we're looking good on the CDU. So, go ahead and, again, this is not the most correct procedure, but at least you're getting an idea of what this plane's like for a newbie like me. Alright, so back to the overhead. We're going to go ahead and, oop, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so zoom in here. Sorry, the mouse scroll wheel is getting out of hand because my zoom is also the scroll wheel on the mouse. So we'll leave the engine start here on both, and we'll select that to ground. We'll then move down to here. Just below this screen here, we click this little button on the left. This little button right here is rising. That's your N2 percentage. As soon as that gets to 18, we're then going to come down here and click the fuel control on. Fuel control on here just below the throttle. That's going to stabilize our engines. What I have found is if you strike that knob to run around 15%, you sometimes get a starter valve issue. I've had engine fires. So wait till about 18%. Don't go too high before you click the run, or you also will have a problem. We go back to the overhead. Once that's started, it's going to click back to auto like it just did. Then we can go ahead and start engine 1. So back down here. We wait for this number here to get to 18. Sorry if the font's a little bit small, but 18 there, and then we click that on. So again, right up here, these numbers this needs to be above 18 before you click that run, and this needs to be above 18. So I come back down here, and this is the button that I'm pressing from cut to run when that reaches 18. As you can see, there's a little bit of flashing. So we now can turn off our APU because power is running off of the engines. So back to the overhead, go to our APU, and we switch this to off. The APU gen can come off. The APU bleed can come off. And that looks good. So come down here, and we're going to go ahead and set, because I have my iPad with the CDU on it, I still see that our trim here is 3.5. So here it's set to right now just below 3 on this. So right here we get a good overhead view of the stabilizer trim, and we hold down, and we can move this stabilizer trim. So we need to go to 3.5 based on our weight. So about right there, 3.5 on the stabilizer trim. Zoom in on that, as you can see right there. Okay. All right, that looks good. Down here, when the time comes, we'll put our instrument landing system frequency in this radio here. I'm not going to be doing any air traffic control today, so we won't worry about any of these knobs. Go ahead and put in, let's look here. Oh, this is very important. So up here on my screen, so if you look down here, the yellow text says left pack off, right pack off, and parking brake on. This is a great thing because it's telling you what you may or may not need to do. So if I go to the overhead panel, over here I need to turn my left and right pack on to auto. Now, as you can see, you start to hear the air. Also, everything up here there's no yellow, so we have a good overhead panel as far as no yellow lights. Right? Now again, I may not have done that in the correct order. I think we're ready for. It's always a good idea to check your checklists. And the other thing I was going to show you is under the plugins, under 757 checklists, you do have a checklist here that you can walk through. It's very comprehensive. There's a few things that may not be correct. I think there's some tweaking that needs to be done, but for the most part, it gets you going. Feel free to follow that as well. All right, I'm going to go back to the iPad. I'm going to turn down the volume just a little bit because other outside view here. We'll go ahead and click on the ground button. We'll get rid of the fuel truck. We'll get rid of the passenger bus. We'll get rid of the stairs. We'll close the door on the plane and just quickly show you the scenery here in Salt Lake City. So up here to the north is Davis County, and as we scroll down here, we got some horrible excavation on this mountain. That's an eyesore that I absolutely hate. Mining going on. And then over there we got downtown Salt Lake City. We got the Wasatch Mountain Range here, of course, and all of the fun ski resorts are just up these canyons. And here we got Salt Lake City Airport. So we'll detach from the airplane and just go up. We're going to be taking off from 3-4, what did I say? 3-4 left. So 3-4 left is right over this way. So we'll be taxiing down for a while. All right. To do pushback, we click on the iPad again and we go to ground and we click pushback. That starts the pushback truck to connect to our plane, as you can see here. And then once he connects, you actually control the pushback vehicle with your throttle. So we'll take the parking brake off. As you can see, it's starting to move forward. That's because my throttle is not forward. But as soon as I start pushing the throttle in a little bit, the push tow car will start to push that big jet. And then you use your rudder pedals or your joystick twist maybe, or your keyboard, whatever you have programmed for your rudder pedals. And in this particular instance, I'm depressing my left rudder pedal to get a nose east for this. Make sure I can clear that UPS. Looks like an MD-11, or no, a DC. Is that a DC-10? I don't know. Okay. So that's enough on that. So we'll take the that and we'll remove the tow truck, and now we're looking good. So back to the cockpit. Parking brake is set again, and we will. Let's take a good look around again. Yep, it's going to be a very long taxi. So I may edit the YouTube video, or I may speed it up. So we'll, oh, one thing I forgot. Parking brake back on. Go to the overhead panel. We'll switch our taxi light on. And I think we're supposed to turn on our collision lights just to give people an idea. I won't turn on the wing light. Alright, parking brake off, and we'll start our taxi out. Make sure our wing trades paint with the UPS aircraft. So yeah, the Flight Factor 767. I'm a Cessna 172 simulation enthusiast for the most part, but I will say that it's little by little I'm getting more and more comfortable with this big jet. Haven't quite got to the comfort level enough to go on to the online ATC networks, but we're getting there. So some of you have seen how I display my my ForeFlight app on the screen. So I was going to bring that up so we have. So we can watch our taxiways. Okay, so as you can see here on the screen, we're taxiing down very slowly on Golf. We're then going to go Foxtrot or Echo, depending on how I feel, down to Alpha, and then over to 3-4 left. I do have real weather right now uploaded. But for the purposes of scenery recon or scenery reconnaissance, I will go ahead and turn weather off. Okay, so we're coming up to taxiway Foxtrot here. So we'll make our turn to the right. Salt Lake City is an airport that Pilot Edge will be expanding to for an online network. So getting lots of practice for when they go live. My first Pilot Edge flight with this plane will probably be a Las Vegas departure up to Salt Lake, and they will taxi me. They will give me clearance. They'll taxi on Las Vegas ground. Las Vegas Tower will clear me for takeoff. I'll then go to Las Vegas departure, and then they'll send me on my way up to the border of Utah, and where they'll let me go just past St. George, and then I'll land in Salt Lake without air traffic control. That will probably be my little teaser or primer online ATC flight on Pilot Edge with this plane. May do that later today. Now that I'm out of the fantasy football playoffs in 2 of my leagues, I can fly instead of watch football. Next year. We'll get them next year. So up here we're going to turn on Alpha. Yes, this is a very long taxi. I did an extremely long taxi in Toronto recently in the real world. I was in a Dash 8 aircraft, twin turboprop, and I swear we taxied for 30 minutes. We were parked the furthest away from, well, let's see here. Yeah, the furthest away from, oh, you know what? We missed our turnoff. And we did a runway incursion. Don't do that, folks. Yeah, so we taxied for probably, it was probably more like 25 minutes. We were the furthest point away at Toronto Pearson. And it was a Dash 8. I believe it was a 100. A little bit of an older aircraft. Today's taxi is pretty long, but hopefully you're enjoying the narration. All right. So we're taxiing along Alpha here at Salt Lake City. We're going to go ahead and clear our weather. Clear the weather. Sometimes clearing the weather in the air rocks the passengers in the back, so might as well do it here on the ground. Beautiful Wasatch Mountains to the left, Ochre Mountains to the right, Bingham Copper Mine in the distance. It's owned by Rio Tinto. You can see that from space. It's just over here. We will be flying somewhat over it on the Edith 3 departure, although maybe not. I gotta double check the Edith 3 But I'll be doing the Edith 1. I don't know what if there are a lot of differences between the Edith 3 and the Edith 1, but all right. Another thing that you can do is, if you wanted to, is you can brief your passengers. Safety demonstration.
Ladies and gentlemen, we request your full attention as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft.
I should have done that earlier.
Seatbelt sign illuminates. You must fasten your seatbelt. Insert the metal fittings one into the other and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight, as we may experience turbulence. The Boeing 767 has 8 emergency exits. 2 in the front, 2 at the back, and 2 over each wing. Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In some cases, your nearest exit may be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, floor-level lighting will guide you towards the exit. Doors can be opened by moving the handle in the direction of the arrow. Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be detached and used as a life raft. Oxygen and the air pressure are always being monitored. In the event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will automatically appear in front of you. To start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you. Place it firmly over your nose and mouth. Secure the elastic band behind your head and breathe normally. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you are traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first and then assist the other person. Keep your mask on until a uniformed crew member advises you to remove it. In the event of an emergency, please assume the bracing position. Lean forward with your hands on top of your head and your elbows against your thighs. Ensure your feet are flat on the floor. A life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed,
Okay, so we've put the flaps to 15 for takeoff.
and remove the vest. Slip it over your head. Pass
This is
the
a
strap
long
around the
safety
waist
briefing.
and adjust at the front to inflate the vest. Pull firmly on the red cord. Only when also, your seat bottom cushion can be used as a flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
Seats for takeoff, everyone. Alright, so flaps are 15. Lights look good. We want to take our brakes down here. This little auto brake, auto brake here we'll set to RTO for rejected takeoff brakes. I may have missed something, but we'll go ahead and take off the parking brake and advance the throttles. Do you like the engine sounds during takeoff, maybe? So we got a positive rate. We'll go gear up. Quick. Oh, sorry. LNAV. Oh. Cycle the flight directors on. LNAV and VNAV on. Autopilot on. I was going a little too high, too fast there. One bug I did find with this is if you can't select the LNAV or VNAV, it may not be a bug, I may be doing something wrong, but if you can't select the LNAV and VNAV, I just turn the flight director on and off. and then all of a sudden I can select the LNAV and VNAV. But it may be, maybe because I'm using the yoke, whatever, I don't know. But now we're in automated control for lateral navigation and vertical navigation. Flying out over the Great Salt Lake. Bring my sound down. Pretend that I put on some headphones. So now I check our after takeoff checklist, which I could just do FMC message. Oh, it says we're not on an intercept heading. That's okay. So it wants us to stay at this speed. Bring up the legs page. We got to stay below 230, below 10,000 feet for a little while until we get to hit UT. It's good to know. If we go up to our plugins 757, 767 menu checklist, and then we look at after takeoff checklist, packs on auto, landing gear up, flaps up. I was a little late on my flaps. Altimeter set. Alright. Haven't set the altimeter quite yet, but we'll be doing standard pressure at flight level 180. So yeah, we successfully took off out of Salt Lake. Make our turn here toward the scant waypoint. If I bring air server back up, you can see here we're just leaving the Bucko waypoint for scant on a turn to the south. This is the Tooele County area. Engines are adjusting based on the speed restrictions. If I go down to the iPad again, I can click hide yoke. And I can change the range of this flight display. I think that looks good right there at 10. Turn on synthetic vision for a moment so you can see that. Many of you have seen this before, but the synthetic vision on the ForeFlight app gives you, I think it's kind of cool, especially for flying at night, more for general aviation, where you can see the terrain in front of you. If you're under air traffic control, of course they're going to make you, they're going to help you avoid the terrain and other aircraft, but this gives you your speed and heading and altitude. It also gives you distance to your next waypoint. So in this case, from scant to hit out, we're going to hit out in 5 seconds. And we're going to do a slight turn. We're also going to go up to 13,000 feet. So the Boeing 767 really is the CDU, what do you call it? The CDU, the FMC, the MCDU, they're all, because down here on this screen, at one point it said FMC and then it also said MCDU, and then it's also called the FMS. All these fun names. Flight management computer. So we're coming up to the Tooele waypoint. At the bottom of the ForeFlight app, it shows that we have 1 hour and 2 minutes to our destination. Our ground speed is 313 knots, altitude 15,700, track 175. Accuracy is within 1 mile. And vertical speed, we're going up at 3,500 feet per minute at the moment, which is quite high. Oh, got a little. Never mind that. Gotta fix that tile. One thing that I've learned is that before our top of descent, which according to the map is going to, well, here's our top of climb. Our top of climb is just past Tryla. That will get us to flight level 310. And then if we go down here and we go to plan, I believe it is. Yeah, that's plan. Okay. And then we go to legs. And we click on here on the CDU. You can see down here step. Once this button down here. Can you see that down there with my banner? Yeah, this button right here is switched over to plan. Then we go to the legs page on the FMC. And then back out just a little bit so we can see this screen over here. We can then step through, and normally you should do this on the ground. We're going to Edith, then we're going to Sevier, then Milford, Casino, Luxor, Grandpa, Doublix. And then there's like spaghetti code going on. It's got our hold and everything. What I thought it would show is our top of drop, or top of our descent start point. So it doesn't. So I'm going to switch this back to top of climb. There's our VOR track. Okay. So, one thing that I've learned, if I go back to the CDU, FMS, McDo, and I click on descent, the DES here, as you can see right here, there's a pause at the top of this top of drop. So if I click on that, pause armed. So now it's going to pause in case I miss it, which I understand you really can't do in the real world. At least I don't think you can. But I want to make sure that I change. Well, actually, I take that back. We will go ahead and take that pause off. And I think when we hit our cruise level of 320, which it just notified us that we're coming up to, we're within 1,000 feet, so the nose should level off. Once we get up to 320, I'm going to go ahead and change our MCP altitude down to the beginning of the approach into Las Vegas, or lower, depending on how I feel. So I hope that makes sense. If you don't change your MCP altitude until way after your top of descent, your top of drop, you're going to be off on your lateral and vertical navigation for your approach. So it looks like we're just leveling off here at flight level 320. Coming up to Edith waypoint. And the Delta VOR. Like I said before, well, actually this is a little bit off. It must be... I thought I would tune the Delta VOR automatically, but it looks like it's not. It's tuned some VOR though. Maybe it's doing outbound. It is, it's doing outbound. Okay, so as you can see here, it's in this radio. I'll move the air server. Well, on the air server, note here that Fairfield is 116.6. It's a VOR off to the behind us, off to the east. In the plane, because I've set this radio to automatic, it's changed this to 116.6, and so it's tracking that. And here's my DME distance down here to that VOR. DME on the right, so if we go back up here, it's 112.1. So if we go around, it's probably, yeah, if I'll bring back this air server, Milford is 112.1. So on the right, we are 80, because it's tuned in the VOR DME at Milford, we're 81, or coming up to 80 miles from the Milford VOR. And so those radios are automatically changing frequency, which is very handy. Making the turn here. Had our lights on the whole time. It's okay. I'm going to do a little pre-planning for our approach. I'm not sure if I did it correctly. So on the navlog, I've got our route, the Milford Grandpa 1 approach. We're going to go all the way to the bottom of Grandpa 1, which is LEM NZ, and then we're going to transition at Preno. So if I look at this flight plan, we go out to Lens, and then we come out to Preno. So we do a little bit of backtracking, which is a little bit odd. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to transition. I think I'm going to get rid of Frog, Trop, and Lems. Some jets out there, when you do this, they get a little confused. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. We'll see what happens. So again, I'm going to get rid of Frog, Trop, and Lems. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to click delete on Frog, and I'm going to bring Trop up, and then I'm going to execute that. Then I'm going to delete Trop. And I'm going to execute. I'm going to bring Lems up, execute. And then I'm going to delete Lems. And execute. Bring up Preno, execute. I probably could wait till I executed. But now, instead of, we're going to transition, well, we're going to go from Doublix over to Preno, and that will get us lined up for runway 25 left, I hope. I hope that makes sense. So in here, we'll get rid of Lems by just dragging it down here and getting rid of it. The Grandpa 1. So let's do this. Let's we do Milford. Let's get rid of the Grandpa 1. And let's put in oops, navlog, edit. So if we go after Milford, we go to Doublix. And then we move that over here. Oops. Drag and drop over there. Let's see how that looks. Oh, didn't like that. There we go. Doublix to Preno. And then to Las Vegas. Alright, so that's a little bit better of a situation. We don't have to backtrack. Not sure if the real world would, how they would do it. I'm going to listen to liveatc.net and listen to Las Vegas approach and see if how they transition. Maybe look at FlightAware, see how they transition. They probably do it differently, but we'll just giving you an example of the reliability of the Boeing 767 from Flight Factor and changing your flight plan mid-screen. So mid-screen, mid-flight. Excuse me. All right, we're 80 or 41.6 miles from Milford at the moment. Do a little scenery recon. Make sure that we don't have any missing tiles. We're out in the desert. For sure. Where the heck are we? Okay, Fillmore just off to our left. Right over there, Fillmore. And for those of you who are into history, Fillmore, Utah, right in the middle of the state. Used to be the territory capital. So Salt Lake City is the capital of the state, but Fillmore was the capital of the territory before it became a state. I really think you're fascinated by that fact. Alright, now that we're in cruise, what I was saying before is we're going to move our altitude down to the first waypoint on the... We'll go down to Doublix, okay? So at Doublix is at 9,000. So we'll rotate our MCP altitude, as I'm doing over here. We'll rotate that down using the mouse scroll wheel down to 9,000. And that's interesting. My radio's turned from main auto to main. There's the view I'm looking for a moment. It's kind of a cool view. Maybe we should have some tunage at this moment. I think we might. Mr. Let's see if we can find it. I'm sorry. I just love this song. Mr. Josh J. Gibbs Follow him on twitch.tv/Josh J. Gibbs. He introduced me to this song. I love it.
Doesn't hurt me. You wanna feel how it feels. You wanna know that it doesn't hurt me. You wanna hear about the deal I'm making. You and me. And if I only could make a deal with God and begin to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could. You don't wanna hurt me. Let's see how deep the bullet lies. Unaware that I'm tearing you asunder. And there's thunder in our hearts, baby. So much hate for the ones we love. Tell me we both matter, don't we? You and me. You and me won't be unhappy. If I only could make a deal with God. Get 'em to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, be running up that building. If I only could. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Let me steal this moment from you now. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Let's exchange the experience. If I only could make a deal with God, get 'em to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, with no problem. If I only could make a deal with God, get 'em to swap our places. Be running up that road, be running up that hill, with no problem.
Sometimes you need to unmute the microphone in order to talk to the YouTube crowd. Hello, crowd. Thank you, Josh, for that song. Appreciate that. And we're just approaching the top of descent here in a little bit. We've already reset our altitude to descend down to the initial waypoint of our custom approach called the Grandpa John 1. And yeah, so we just need to manage our speed, make sure that our vertical navigation kind of lines up with the Grandpa John 1 approach. Our lateral navigation, I think, is looking pretty good. Not 2.4, but 2.5. All right, so I'll bring this up on the screen. So here, I've tuned in the frequency here that you can see in the upper left, 111.75. Actually, I haven't done that yet. So we'll tune in 111.75. So if we go down to our pedestal, and down here, if you take your mouse and you hover right here, and you can change the frequency to 111.75. And then you put in the course here. Now the course the course for the ILS approach, as you can see here on the chart, is 255, but the runway is 25. So I need some clarification. Should I put in the 255 or should I put in the 25? Does it really matter being off by 5 degrees? Maybe not. I'll try 255 because maybe that's the true heading of the runway. And the 25, because of our Earth's shift, has not shifted to 256 yet. And if it does go to 256, maybe the next 50 years, they'll have to renumber it to runway 26. Maybe. So that's we've briefed ourselves on the weather in Las Vegas. We've got winds 200 at 5 knots, 10 statute miles of visibility, clouds. Because we're doing custom weather, we don't have to worry about any of this. But if we were flying in the real world, we would tune our altimeter setting to 3005. So we could be correct once we passed our transition altitude of 18,000 feet. So we've already started our descent, and I'm thinking that pretty soon our CDU is going to tell us that we need drag because we're going too fast, but probably not for a little while. We should be tracking Dublix. That's not what this says, though. There we go. Luxor Grandpa Dublix. We must be coming up to L-A-R-R-E. No, that's just before the runway. Okay, that must be on the Preno transition. All right, so we're tracking Casino right now. Okay. Casino, Luxor, Grandpa Dublix. If I go to the approach plate again. According to this, we need a Preno. We need to be at 8,000. So yeah, it's got Preno at 8,000. That's awesome. Love it. We'll turn our volume up a little bit more. Normally I would tell people that we're in our climb, emergency descent.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the seatbelt sign.
That was a little premature on that
The
announcement.
aircraft comes to a complete stop, and the fasten seatbelt sign is turned off. When preparing to depart, please make sure to take all your personal belongings with you. Attention in the signs to international transit area.
Hmm. Just coming over St. George, Utah. The old airport and the new airport. Off in the distance. I just love that view. Alright, so we're coming up to the casino waypoint, which happens to be at Mesquite, Nevada, right on the border of Arizona and Nevada. Show you on the air server again. Here we are, just past St. George. We're on the Milford radio. 58 degrees to the north, 119 coming south. We're going to come up to the casino where we'll make a slight turn to the right and head on down to Doublix. Yeah, the weather's not changed. How are we doing on our descent? We're supposed to be at casino at 17,622. We're at 22. We're 18 miles away. I think we'll be okay. We're descending about 1,800 feet per minute. Ground speed 385 knots. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. I'm going to show you how much fun I'm having. I'm having fun. I'm really looking forward to getting this plane on Pilot Edge. It's going to be a lot of fun. So here's a moment for our Pilot Edge promotional moment. This video on YouTube is not brought to you by Pilot Edge, but I will go ahead and promote it regardless. So, pilotedge.net. Go here, Do a risk-free 14-day free trial. After that, if you like it, it's $19.95 a month. Well worth it. Watch the intro video. You can listen to live radio right now. Right now, you can see all of these pilots are on the network. Their call sign, where they're going, etc. Here's the suggested upcoming focus fields where people can do patterns, and sometimes people congregate at those fields. So yeah, check it out. There's a lot there. Once you do check it out, go into the Pilot Center, log in with your login, go into the Pilot Training Center, go to the training ratings. And under the training ratings, there's this I ratings and also V ratings right here. Just start with all these materials. Start reading up, and then do that V1 pattern work. If you do the V1 pattern work, go into there. There's a video on how to do it. But really nice is a transcript. If you click on transcript, it's going to tell you what you should say and what they're going to say back. Give it a go. Highly recommend Pilot Edge. So we're making our turn at Casino here near Mesquite. Maybe we can see my favorite golf course down below. Oops. We're kind of past Mesquite. It's up there. Yeah, it's back that way. So right up in there is my favorite golf course, called Wolf Creek. Looks like there's a runway up there too. And up ahead of us is Lake Mead, if I'm not mistaken. So let's check to see if we're looking good. Hasn't told us to slow down. We're going to change our range on our flight display down to 10. We're traveling at 351 knots ground speed. Indicated is 276. We're at 16,000 feet. We're supposed to be at 12,000 feet and 250 knots by Luxor. Just love that flyby view. Can do it again. Whoa. Almost hit my head right there. All right, we have an FMC message down here, as it says here on our display right there in yellow. It says drag required. So we'll take our speed brakes and we'll introduce some drag. It's going to slow us down a little bit. Kind of it bobbles our plane a little bit. That's okay. I've noticed when I do those speed brakes, I maybe should do them a little more gradually, because it does some interesting things with the vertical speed. Yep, our ground speed is now 270 and dropping. So we're now down to 215 knots, which is interesting. 175 indicated, so we're going a little bit slow. That's why we're nose up. So I'll turn those speed brakes spoilers back off. And that should increase our speed a little bit, because at Luxor we're supposed to be at 250. But so there, I did something wrong. Probably too much boards coming out on that one. Coming down to the appropriate altitude though at 12,000. Making our turn here at Luxor. I wonder if that's our heading. I don't like this nose up attitude. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pause the video here for just a moment, and I'm going to do a little preparation for landing. Be back in the cockpit in a bit. So stay tuned for, and also go to part 2 of this video, because this is just part 1. It's been too long, hour and a half. Well, with the fast forward, maybe a little less, but tune into part 2 on this video for my landing into Las Vegas.